Alright, so I've gotten a lot of questions from my past videos from people asking me how to find their correct draw length or loop length, or asking me what their correct draw length is and what their correct loop length is. Those of you that are asking for that, you're on the right track, because draw length and loop length are not the same thing. You cannot mesh the two together and act as if they're the same aspect to your setup. But it's impossible for me to go ahead and just tell you a number on that. It's something that you're gonna have to play with and work with a lot. But there is a process that you can follow, and it will kind of lead you in the right direction of where to go for your draw length and loop length. I'm going to go ahead and walk through this, and it's going to be kind of boring at the beginning because I want to make sure that anybody that's interested in this topic can go from point A to point Z and not have a missed step somewhere, because I'm tailoring it towards people that already know this stuff. Alright, so for the first step, super simple, get your bow's basic tune correct. So get your axle right, your timing right, your poundage right, your brace height right. If all four of those things are correct on your bow, your basic tune is set for that bow. Alright, so step 2 is finding your nocking points. Finding your nocking point is important because if you know right off the bat that your nocking point is not going to be straight through the burger button out of the bow, then you're going to have to set that and then redo your basic tune. Because if you move that arrow up and down the string, you're changing the way the string is paying out at full draw. So your timing is going to be incorrect, and you're going to have to go back in, fix your basic tune, and then move on from there. The only problem with finding the right lengths for you is that it's really dependent on your ability to be able to feel what a good shot feels like, to be able to feel what a good form feels like. You can make any draw length and any loop length look good by altering your body. So we're talking about skeletal structure at full draw. Having the correct skeletal structure at full draw is the only way that you're going to truly be able to find the correct draw length and loop length. But a simpler way to explain it is just having the correct form checkpoint. So if you have your feet positioned correctly, your knees are correctly positioned above that, your hips are above that, your shoulders are above that, your head's straight up, your arms are just straight up. Just have a perfectly neutral, solid foundation. So from there, we're going to get the proper alignment from our wrist with a contact the bow is all the way through our back elbow at full draw. And the way that I like to do this is I will find the hard point of my wrist and I will set my bow on that hard point of my wrist. And that way at full draw, all of the weight is sitting on something that's structurally sound. It's not on any of the meat of my wrist, causing muscle contractions. It's going to cause inconsistencies in my shot. And then from there, I will take my forearm and place it directly behind my wrist, and then my humerus bone directly behind my forearm, sink my shoulder into my shoulder pocket, and then from there have my rear shoulder in line with my front shoulder pocket, and then my elbow in line with my grip. So from there I have a pretty straight line to go off of, and you can even see most people would say that this anchor point is too far back. But this is my anchor point, and I don't care that it's a little bit off of the textbook or what people find to be normal, because it's correct for me. It's a straight line. So finding a straight line between the point of your grip to the point of your elbow and not having something in the middle off of center is going to be critical for this setup. So if you take a piece of string between your fingers and imagine that this side over here is your grip and this side over here is your back elbow, not your back hand, but your back elbow, and you just pull that string straight, okay? It's really, really easy to hold that straight, but what an incorrect anchor point does, which is induced from an incorrect draw length or incorrect loop length, is it creates an imperfection in that straight line. So as you're pulling through your shot, that imperfection is wanting to try to come back to true center. So you're always at full draw having having to try to put pressure against that natural pressure that's wanting to bring it back to true center. And the harder that you pull, the more it wants to come back. So you're constantly having to change the pressure. You're having to constantly adjust your pressure in that direction that it's wanting to come back to true center. All right, so that's why I say it can really increase your ability to have a good shot by just getting your draw length and your loop length ratio correct, because you're not having to fight against that center point of the string anymore. You're not having to fight against that pressure. Your hand's in the true center of that string, and all you have to do is pull with your back and everything will stay in alignment. All right, so the first part of the equation is finding the correct draw length, but you need to be honest with yourself at full draw. Come to full draw, make sure everything's structurally correct on the front side and in your form, and then base your decision on what you do next based off of where your string is on your face. So make sure that your string is just barely brushing your nose at full draw, and if you're in a shot, do not compromise your setup for embarrassment of making somebody do more work, whatever it is. Try different things. That's what they're there for. You're paying the thousands of dollars for a bow. Make sure it's right for you. There's nothing wrong with making sure your setup is correct for you. But yeah, just get your string to where it's just brushing your nose at full draw. Alright, so from here, what you're going to do is you're going to figure out your correct loop length now that you have all of the other parts correct. And just basically change your loop length in 1/16 of an inch increments until you find what feels structurally correct for you. I think there will be a position for you where when you're doing this, you're going to say, yep, that's correct, if you put the effort in to try to make everything right. And then from there, you can kind of just tweak it with time and change it by a 32nd of an inch, or if you want to go as extreme as 1/64 of an inch, you can do that too. Some of the positive evidence of having a good structurally sound shot with all of the aspects of the system correct is having a good pin float. If you see kind of some fast jittery motion on your pin, then that indicates that you're a little short on one of the two aspects. And if you see kind of some long flowing motions, generally that indicates that you're a little too long on one of the two aspects. Alright, so revisit. Always revisit areas of your setup that you've known to be correct in the past, especially when you're making changes to other parts of the setup, such as your stabilizers. That's a great example of something that you need to pay attention to your draw length and loop length on. When you're changing your stabilizer's length in and out and changing the way the weight is positioned on the bow, or changing your weight entirely on the setup, it's going to slightly impact the way that your draw length and loop length need to be set up. So that's pretty much it. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I'll see y'all in the next one.